You're listening to InfoQuench with Jeff.
And Amy, a podcast on how to be more efficient.
And effective
In
everyday life. Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 4.
Yes, in this episode we are doing the Konmari Method of tidying up, and we're focusing on the clothes category.
Yes, and lover or hater. Well, I don't think anybody actually hates Marie Kondo.
But there are probably some people who hate Marie Kondo.
I've heard some people really like rake her over the coals for like just believing what she believes.
I know, it's really quite sad.
Well, I mean, I think it's truthfully just people not really wanting to accept the fact that they have to get rid of some of their things.
These are the people who watch Hoarders just to feel better about themselves.
That's right.
It's those people.
Yes.
And you know what? Marie Kondo's been doing this since she was a kid.
Really?
Yeah.
She was taught by her parents?
This isn't a recent thing. She has been an organizer, a tidier upper. Is it tidy upper or tidier upper?
It's whatever you want to say it is.
She's been tidying up since she's been little.
Yeah. I wonder if her parents are getting a little bit of a cut.
Well, I should hope so. So, in an earlier episode, we did talk about the 7 things that we learned from Marie Kondo. So way back when, I think it's probably 3 years ago, I read the book, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up.
Right, written by her.
Right, and it's the full detailed book of how to go through the KonMari process. So people are more aware of her now because of the Netflix special Tidying Up. But one of the things I've found from the episodes I've watched is she really doesn't go into a lot of detail. So that's what we're here to do, is to go into some more detail. So things that I learned from the book, things that we learned together when we went through the process.
And things that actually, in the end, worked for us, right? It's not just, the information. It's like we want to share this information because it is actually things that worked for us. And we can still continue to do, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there are multiple categories that the KonMari Method tackles. The first one that they suggest going for is clothing.
Clothing.
Yes. I mean, it's a hard category for people.
Yes. I remember in the episode, and I don't think I'm spoiling anything, but like the one on clothing in the Netflix special, it was unbelievable how much clothing this one woman had. Like, you couldn't even see her bed. And, I mean, honestly, she probably wore an article of clothing that was different every year, it would like surpass her lifetime.
Oh, I mean, there's a ton of people who have clothing in their closets that have tags on them still.
Yeah.
And they have multiple closets in multiple rooms with their clothing in it.
Yeah.
So we're, not so much, we're not at that level, but we did have a lot more clothing than we do now. And we went through the method and help us pare it down. And the first step of doing that is really just putting everything together. So we talked about in the 7 things that we learned from Marie Kondo was one of the things.
Right, in episode 2? Was that episode 2?
That was episode 2.
Yeah.
Was putting everything in one place. So decluttering by category rather than location. So looking at the category of clothing, you gather all of the clothing articles from around your home and put them in one place.
That's everything that is cloth, basically, right? Like a t-shirt, a tie. Would a tie be considered?
Yes,
in that?
Yeah, essentially,
okay.
yeah.
That's what I thought.
And when we did it, you did your pile and I did my pile.
Right.
So you do a pile by person, and I think in the show they put them on the beds, but really some people probably would have to put them on a full floor depending on how much clothing they have when you think about coats and everything else. So it's really getting everything together, and it really shows you the amount of excess we have. I mean, it's particularly, in North America, we have so much excess in terms of everything that we have in our house.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. When you see all those articles of clothing right before you, you realize very quickly, even if you're not on board with Marie Kondo's philosophy, that you don't need it all.
No.
You don't need it all.
And it's taking up space in your home. I think most people would agree that they probably wear the same batch of clothing more routinely, and they have a lot of extra stuff that's sort of at the back of closets, at the bottom of drawers that they never get to, but they really just wear their favorite things.
Yeah.
So when you put everything together, it really just lets you see the sheer volume of what you have. So that's really the first step. And then what I would suggest is to have either boxes or even big clear garbage bags, like what we would use for recycling, and have them nearby and just designate a section for clothing that you're going to donate, things that you're going to throw out because they're just maybe too far gone, and things that you're going to keep.
Yeah.
So that as you're going through the clothing, you can immediately put it into a donation bag, and then when that bag is filled, you can tie it up, and you're not second-guessing yourself.
Did you find when you were doing your clothing for, KonMari, that it was easier to make decisions to get rid of articles of clothing as you went along the process? Or was it easier in the early stages? Like, were you like, okay, I really don't need this, and you just put it into the donation bag? Or was it like, excuse me, where you would get more and more comfortable with getting rid of clothing as you went through the process?
That's an interesting question. I think initially I had things that I knew immediately I was going to get rid of anyway.
Yeah.
And then as you start paring it down and get to a smaller volume of clothing, you don't want to risk getting rid of everything because you still need something.
Yeah, excuse me.
Yeah. No, now you're the one making the noise.
Yeah, I know. Oh,
I was worried about picking up my drink too loudly.
Oh no! Here, cheers. Cheers. Here are those ice cubes, people. Oh, come on! Where's the ice cubes? There they are. And I just
meanwhile,
got
you're coughing and
I
hacking.
got a Sapporo beer here. So, maybe we're explicit now on iTunes. They're so strict. We're drinking alcohol.
Well, I'm drinking an Aperol Spritz because we all know how I feel about Aperol Spritzes.
Oh yes, that's right. You plugged them earlier. Yeah, Amy's getting $1,000 from Aperol Spritz every time she mentions
that's
the
true.
company.
Even if they just sent me free bottles, I would be okay with that.
Well, one of the things that I was going to say about clothing, like before you even put all the clothing in a big pile, like they're in your drawers of your dresser and stuff. And I think that everybody listening has like a section of those drawers where there are clothing that has sort of been banished for whatever reason. Like underneath all the clothes you wear is like your T-shirts that don't fit you anymore, or like you just love. I mean, well, I'm talking about me here, but like I get T-shirts that are so ratty, but I can't let them go because they just mean so much to me. They spark joy, so I keep them. Right? But like everybody has designated parts of their drawers where it's like, okay, that's not the best, T-shirt to wear. So, or that's just a little too small, but I'm going to keep it. But you got to get rid of that stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my point.
It's true. And I guess sometimes just by default, the stuff that you don't wear, the unloved items just make their way to the bottom of the drawer, the back of the drawer.
Exactly.
The back of the closet. Maybe they've fallen off a hanger and they're laying in the bottom of a closet somewhere. And
then like we talked about this
pile.
before, like there are articles of clothing where you're like, oh, I haven't painted in like 15 years, but that's my painting shirt. So in case I ever paint again, that's the one I want to wear because it's got one blotch of paint on it from like when we painted a room or something.
That's right. I mean,
it's like, get rid of it.
We kind of have like a clothing purgatory where you have clothes that you're like, it's not quite nice enough to wear to work, but maybe I'll wear it around, if I'm out with friends or something. But now it's not quite nice enough to wear out in public. Yeah. So I'll just wear it when I'm sitting on my couch, and then I'll just wear this while I'm painting, or like even with shoes. I used to have sneakers that I would wear. Had the the clean, pristine ones you'd wear at the gym. And you have ones that you're like, okay, I can wear those out for running or walking outside. Oh, but then eventually they just become degraded to, these are the ones I mow the lawn in, and they're green. Yeah.
No, it's true. Like, I think the only, like, designated, type of footwear that I've ever had has just been, like, when we go on vacation. Like, I keep my flip-flops because that's the only time I wear flip-flops is when we're away on vacation. But other than that, I wouldn't have flip-flops. I don't even wear them here in the summer. So, anyway. I don't know where I'm going with that, but what's your next tip?
All right. Derailed the conversation a little bit. So you've got your pile compiled. Hey, pile is in the word compiled.
There you go.
I bet you that is not a coincidence.
That is not a coincidence.
So you've got your pile compiled. The next step is to go through all of your clothing items. And like you said, there's some things that are really easy. You can be like, I'm just going to get rid of that. Marie Kondo actually suggests starting with your off-season clothing. So if it's the winter time, it's
Start
easier.
with your summer stuff.
It's easier to look at the summer stuff
No
because
question.
things you haven't worn in a while anyway, you have less attachment to. It's just easier to give them up. Whereas if you wore something last week, you're probably not going to want to readily put it in a donation pile. So starting with the off-season clothing is probably the easiest way to start clearing out some items, but really taking up each item.
Hi, Charlie.
Charlie has zero clothing.
Yeah, he has zero clothing and no respect. Listen to him coming over here just yapping away.
He's the ultimate minimalist. Charlie is our cat.
Yeah, Charlie's our cat. He's about 12 years old and he's an orange tabby.
Yeah, so in case you can't make it out from the meowing. So this is where the whole spark joy of KonMari comes back into play. So you're picking up each item of clothing and deciding whether or not it sparks joy.
Yeah.
And really, when you put on a piece of clothing, I know I think about this. There's certain pieces of clothing that I'm like, oh, if I put this on, I'm going to be adjusting it all day. Or this piece of clothing is a little too tight. Or this piece of clothing is a little baggy. Or
That's exactly it. I have clothing like that as well. It's like, I don't like the way this one fits around my neck.
Yeah.
So I don't wear it, but it stays in the drawer.
And it feels just like a little uncomfortable. These sleeves are too short, or this bunches at the shoulders. You might have something you're planning to sew the button on. If you're like me, then it'll never.
It'll never happen.
It'll just never happen.
It's funny. You're not necessarily a procrastinator, but you are when it comes to buttons.
I am when it comes to sewing in general.
If
a button falls off a piece of clothing, I just immediately get rid of the clothing. I know that.
But that just happened a couple of days ago. The button fell off your sweater. Did you put it back on yet?
I really like that sweater. I have faith that this will be,
This will be the moment where you put the button back on?
I have faith. It'll happen.
If you don't do it, I can do it. I know how to sew, believe it or not.
Really?
I learned it when I was in the Navy. In my general military training. We had to sew our last name on every single piece of clothing in one night.
Like so embroider it?
No, we just had to sew these little tags with our last name in it.
Really?
On it, rather, yeah. Oh. Into our clothing.
Jeff has a really interesting life trajectory where he randomly just puts this information out about being in the Navy or driving a forklift or living in the woods in BC or teaching English in Korea. And I really need to sit him down and just do a timeline of his life so that
good luck.
We can explain it to our son.
You know me,
point.
I can't even get like the week right. Like if I have something next week on Tuesday and it's set for Tuesday, somehow I'll show up Wednesday expecting it to happen. Or call everybody, hey, are we going? And they're like, oh, that's not till Friday, Jeff. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, you're right. That happens, you know that about me. I'm horrible with dates.
You are.
Every single Tuesday, you send me a text saying, just a reminder, Hux has Kinder Rock today.
I know.
Because I don't think I'd forget, to be honest, but excuse me. But
that's why we balance each other out.
That's right.
I know that you need to be reminded, and I'm okay with that.
It's not a character flaw. It's more of just the way I am.
I'll give you a secret. I actually set a reminder for myself that pops up on my phone that reminds me to remind you to take Hux to Kinder Rock.
I am not surprised you're that, planned with this whole thing. Hey, Charlie.
So, when we talk about InfoQuench, we talk about these different tips and systems and things for living life more effectively and efficiently. Sometimes it's really just kind of knowing your own weaknesses. So if you need to set reminders, if you need to write things down, if you need to organize certain things, it's just getting those things in place.
Yeah, I know. And I don't know why I don't have the mindset to do that. It's the same kind of mindset that doesn't really want to fix things when they break. I don't care. I don't know why I'm like that, but.
So I'm going to sew the button on that sweater.
Do it. And then you our loyal listeners will get an update next podcast.
Oh, the pressure's on.
Yeah.
I also have to sew a hole in Huxley's teddy bear because
there you go.
His little black teddy bear has a hole in it, and I put a Band-Aid over it because I didn't want to sew it.
I could be wrong, 2 weeks. But I think we're off track here on this podcast, big time. We're not talking about KonMari anymore. So what tip are we on now? Let's get back on track.
So we're talking about sparking joy. So you're going through all of your clothing, and you're picking up items, and you're trying to figure out what you really want to keep, what you don't. Okay,
my question is, if something sparks joy, what happens if it makes a fire?
You mean if the spark becomes a literal spark?
Yeah. What if the spark becomes a fire and
and you come home,
it sparks a fire in me? I'm like, all this stuff, none of this stuff either sparks joy or doesn't spark joy. But let's just say none of it sparks joy, and you come home and there's nothing in the house.
I don't even know what to say to that.
What would you do?
Did the house burn down? What would I do?
No, I would get rid of everything because none of it sparked joy. I'm like, this doesn't spark joy.
We're
Out
at
it goes.
15 minutes into this episode, and we're on the first step of clothing. What are we going to do?
Okay, let's go. Let's get going on the steps.
So going through this pile of clothing, I guess the thing is to be ruthless. If you've got a really long, really big...
Go on.
If you're...
Go on.
If your pile of clothing is really big,
Right.
then you need to be more ruthless with deciding what sparks joy. If there's any reason to get rid of clothing, if you're like, that's not my color.
Get rid of it.
Nobody's ever given me a compliment when I wore that.
I never wear this neon yellow t-shirt, so let's get rid of it.
Get rid of it.
Actually, I gave you my neon yellow t-shirt, and you wear it. Well, it's not neon, but is that vinyl one with the baby on it? Anyway, go ahead.
Oh my goodness. You're bringing Tangent to a whole new level.
It's okay. We always go back, though, so go ahead.
Any reason you can get rid of a piece of clothing, any reason you can think of whatsoever, get rid of it and pare down your clothing so that everything that is in your closet, when you put it on, you're like, oh, I know that this piece of cloth is going to look good on my body. I'm going to feel good in it when I wear it. I'm going to be confident. It's not a piece of clothing that wrinkles easily. It doesn't have some kind of hidden stain that I have to cover all day or some little hole that I have to hide.
Now who's on a tangent?
And I don't have to adjust it. So, yeah. So just go through the clothing, figure out what you like. If it doesn't spark joy, toss it.
Toss it.
All right. When you're tossing it, make sure you thank it.
Yeah, thanks. See you later. Next.
All right. Marie Kondo says that, right? You thank
She
it.
does, yeah.
Thank it.
I don't. That's.
know.
I think that's more of a Japanese bent on things. I don't think North American, people doing this KonMari thing. They're not thanking anything. They're just getting rid of things.
Maybe it's just acknowledging, like, don't be wasteful.
I understand where it comes from, and I agree with it. But thinking that people actually thank their clothes before they get rid of it is a far stretch, I think.
But there is some, I guess, point to that in that. For instance, when we're giving clothing away, now that Huxley's outgrowing things, when he outgrows things, I immediately put them in a box and I'm giving them to somebody else to use for their children. So for me, it's easy to sort of picture that they're going to have the joy and it's getting passed along. And
You're sparking that joy in someone else.
And I kind of think of the memory that I had when he was in it and, and like when he was able to wear those little rubber boots or that raincoat. Yeah. And so that does, and I kind of do that little bit of a thank you and then I pass it along to the next person.
You do a little thank you. I'm impressed.
Well, I don't say it out loud. That would be weird.
What do you do though? Do you just close your eyes and thank you kind of thing?
I don't know.
Okay, I'm just curious.
I just say it right now. Right at this moment I'm saying thank you and that covers all clothing I will donate in the future.
Oh wow. That's like one thank you gets all kind of thing, All
right, so
What's next?
We're going to talk about we talked about the clothing purgatory, so don't just put your clothes into like loungewear mode. Buy nice, if you want nice comfy clothes for around your house, buy some nice comfy clothes for around your house, but you don't need excessive amounts of jogging pants.
No,
which I
don't even have a single pair of jogging pants.
I have a pair of jogging pants that is over 20 years old.
I'm not surprised by that. You probably have t-shirts older.
I know. And
from
but I have
marathons that you ran in 1982 or something.
I have very
when you
little
were 10.
Clothing, but there are a few key items that I'm like, this is a quality piece of clothing, and there's no reason for me to get rid of it. So I have one pair of jogging pants, and I happen to have had them. They're from the University of New Brunswick that I bought in my second year of university.
They make them the last here in New Brunswick.
Pardon?
They make them the last here in New Brunswick. They're jogging pants.
That's right. Good quality clothing.
Good quality jogging pants only.
So I still have these jogging pants, and they're great. I'll probably have them for 50 years, but for now they're 20 years old. If you have really old pieces of clothing that are just quality items that have stood the test of time, talk to us on social media. Let us know. What is your oldest piece of clothing?
Tell everybody where they can find us.
Well, on InfoQuench Podcast, if you Google it on Google.
Yeah. And then you can go to Facebook and
search it on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're all over the place.
We own that crap.
So after you've decided what clothing you're going to keep, the next thing you need to tackle is storage. And I think everybody who's watched Netflix knows the KonMari method of folding quite well, and you're sort of folding things in thirds. One big benefit of that is that when you're folding things, you're really taking the time to look at them. So you can detect if they're worn, if they're threadbare, and you need to get rid of them.
If they fit even, like, just check the size, and if all the other T-shirts that your kid's wearing are medium, this one's small, goodbye.
Well, I mean...
You're the weakest link. Goodbye.
You mean look at the tag?
Yeah, look at the tag while you fold it,
Yeah, usually when Hux puts it on and it's too small, I'm like, yeah, you can wear it one more day. It's
Yeah,
clean.
that's true.
And then we'll donate it on the next
There
one.
are many occasions where he went to school with clothing that was far too small for him, but that's okay. And too big, actually, because we'll buy things too big, and because, especially boots, right? These boots are too big for him. Anyway, continue.
Okay.
Tangent Man is alive and well.
That's okay. I mean, so just going through that folding process lets you look at your clothing and decide whether or not it's something that you should keep or whether it needs to move on to another place. A lot of times people think about folding clothing and they think that hanging it up will prevent wrinkles. But really, if you fold clothes and you put them in a stack, yeah, it actually will cause a lot of wrinkles because the bottom one is basically compressed by all the clothing on top. So if you think of a stack of T-shirts,
Yeah, good point.
if you've got 10 T-shirts on top, the bottom T-shirt is it's basically getting perma-pressed and the wrinkles are going to set in. But if you're folding your clothes KonMari style, and I can attest to this because I've been doing it for 3 years.
Should we put a video on our Facebook about how to do that? There should be one on.
Oh, video is quite a big commitment, but maybe there's already one done.
That's what I mean. Someone else. We're not making a video. That is not happening.
Someone else, yeah. So maybe we'll share one, or maybe you could just check it out on YouTube.
Yeah, check it out on YouTube.
But the KonMari method of standing things up really does actually prevent wrinkling. And she feels that putting things in a drawer, well, I mean, it's not that she just feels this is actually true. It takes up a lot less space than hanging them up. If you're hanging them up in the closet, it takes a lot more room to store the same amount of clothes than if you fold them up KonMari style and put them in the drawer. So
oh yeah, big time.
when you're doing the folding, just consider the dimensions of your drawer and fold accordingly. And it's a great way to store your clothes. It minimizes wrinkles. I had a hard time using the KonMari method on socks.
I have to admit that I haven't used the KonMari method in folding ever, and I'm okay.
Well, yeah, because you do your own laundry.
I do. Yeah.
I used to do your laundry until you never would put it away after I folded it, and then I said,
No, I thought it was because I didn't take things out of my pockets.
well, there was that too.
Yeah, maybe we can talk and you can start doing the laundry again, and I'll make sure that I put it away.
Well, I do all the other laundry except for yours.
Hey, you're making me sound like a deadbeat. I do stuff around here too.
So, socks, I always balled them up. That was the way I was taught. You kind of make a little sock ball. It keeps them together.
Makes sense to me.
But Marie Kondo doesn't really agree with that, and I've switched. I've done it that way for I don't know how many years, but now I basically put one sock on top of another and fold it in thirds and then stand it up, and you can use a shoebox if it's too small in your drawer and you feel like it's going to fall over. A shoebox is a great way to stand your socks up.
Yeah.
But when you ball them up, it really stretches out the elastic.
Oh, I never even thought of that, but I'll probably just continue to do it though.
She also just thinks it's plain mean to do your socks.
Mean?
Mean. She thinks your socks go through a lot. They're on your feet all day. They're jammed in a shoe. You're walking on them. That they need time to breathe. They need time to recuperate. So she
That's
feels
their job, though. That's their job. That's what socks do. You put them on your feet and you walk on them all day. You don't have to give them a folding massage after they've been washed. Just put them in the ball.
I fold my socks that way now, and I think it's a good way to go.
Okay.
And particularly if you're doing trouser socks or things that are made out of pantyhose, stocking socks, that sort of thing.
It's so funny that
saves the elastic.
That's true. It would save the elastic. It's so funny that there are things about KonMari method that I absolutely bring into my heart and agree with, and then other things I'm just like, yeah, that's just kind of a waste of time. And that's just the way it is, though.
Well, it's like anything. You kind of any tips that we give and take.
Yeah, give and take.
Hopefully something works for you. If it doesn't, then
hopefully you, our loyal listeners, are getting some interesting information that you're going to put into your own lives, and that's kind of what we're here for to do on this podcast: is share things that work for us that maybe might work for you as well.
So hanging things up. So although KonMari is really known for the whole folding method, there are things that she suggests you hold up. And the way she defines it is if things are made of a fabric that flutters well in the breeze. I'm trying to say this with a straight face, but really it's things that are quite light fabrics or things that are highly tailored and structured.
Yeah.
Then like blazers and suits and things of that nature, they should be hung up. So for me, my work clothes are what I hang up, and pretty much everything else gets the KonMari fold.
Gets thrown into a pile in the corner of the bedroom.
No,
I'm joking. No, that's me.
That's you.
That's me.
But my work clothes get hung up, and she also suggests when you're hanging them up to basically hang your long items together and your short items together, so that you sort of on the left-hand side have your longest items, and as you move to the right, it kind of angles up to the right. So you have your shortest items on the right-hand side of the rod that you're hanging the clothes on.
Sure, makes sense.
She doesn't really have a good explanation as to why, but she feels it creates a lighter energy and generates magic.
Wow, is that a direct quote? That's amazing. Is she some kind of like magician?
Perhaps.
Or witch or something? I don't know. It's interesting.
For me, I actually just have two rods. So I have one that has all of my shirts on it, and one that has all my pants on it. So they're work clothes. So I basically just take from the left-hand side, I take the next pair of dress pants and the next shirt, and I put all my clean ones on the right-hand side, and I just keep moving along the line. So in the morning, I don't really have to think about it. I just grab the next item. Now, if most of my pants are neutral colors, if they don't match up, then I might skip to the next shirt.
One of the things, though, about your work clothes is you have limited work clothes because you have like sort of like almost like a uniform, right? Am I right with that?
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't have a lot of clothes in general, casual or work clothes, but I love the idea of a uniform.
Yeah, to be clear, like not a uniform as in like, I work at McDonald's and I have like a McDonald's uniform on. More along the lines like, regular clothing that is easy to grab and like and is neutral and you don't have to think about it, right?
Yeah,
is that the whole idea? You don't have to think about it?
There's a lot of benefits to that, actually. There is a whole, I guess, theory that people get decision fatigue.
Yes. Yes, that's what it's called.
I did a little research on this, and the usual average is for the North American adult, they make 35,000 decisions in the course of a day. A child makes about 3,000.
35,000.
They make about 3,000 decisions. I can't believe a child makes 3,000, but I mean, decisions, they're probably just deciding what they don't want to eat.
If it's our kid.
What they don't want to wear, what they don't want to eat.
Yeah.
But when you think about decisions, it's like, what door will I walk through? What size coffee am I going to order?
What route will I take?
Exactly. So there's like 35,000 decisions on average you make in the course of a day. So a lot of the ultra successful people, geniuses throughout time, have made the decision to not make as many decisions around basic things like clothing.
Well, it opens them up, right? To like being able to focus on their business and making like those epiphanies that they do. Like for example, what's the guy's name from Apple? Like
Steve Jobs has the turtleneck.
And I'm sure Zuckerberg does too. Like he probably wears some
even
similar
Einstein
things.
was known to wear similar clothing. Actually, I have a quote here from Obama. President Obama said to Vanity Fair that you'll see I wear only gray or blue suits. I'm trying to pare down decisions. I don't want to make decisions about what I'm eating or wearing because I have too many other decisions to make.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I know this happens to me. I mean, sometimes I get home from work, and by the time I get home from work, you're like, what do you want for supper? I'm like, I don't know. I've already made too many decisions today.
I should have already had something made.
So there's a lot of value, I guess, in having a uniform versus...
Yeah, that makes sense.
Trying to decide every single day.
And you don't have to be like a CEO of a huge company in order to have an outfit or like, something that you wear that every day that you can accessorize, right? You can wear the same thing, but people won't even really notice it because you change the scarf. You got like 3 or 4 different scarves that you wear or whatever. And it's just like, anyway, it's like the base color almost.
I think we're often surprised at how little people pay attention to what you're wearing.
Yeah, it's true. Actually.
Although I do have a funny story about that because I have like sort of a Christmas outfit.
Okay.
So I would go...
Do I know about this? Is this something I don't know about you?
I don't know.
Do you have a Christmas outfit?
Well, I have so few clothes that I kind of have a dress-up outfit that I would wear for Christmas gatherings, like an office Christmas party. And I remember one year going to an office Christmas party, and that particular company put up a slideshow presentation of previous years where they took pictures.
Oh, I do know this
at the
story.
Christmas party.
Yes, okay.
And so, lo and behold, there's pictures of previous years, and I have the exact same Christmas shirt on.
Is it the same sweater that you were wearing when I had the plunger on your belly and
I think
Huxley
it
was
might have
in
been
there?
that same one.
Oh my goodness,
We'll
that's
have to post
hilarious.
that. We'll have to post that pic.
We'll post that pic on our Facebook. And
But I was like, really?
elsewhere.
I'm like, people are taking pictures, so now I can't wear the same clothes to. I thought once a year, no one's going to remember what I wore to the Christmas party until I look up and I see projected on the wall what I wore the previous year, and I'm wearing the exact same
I bet you
one.
everybody was like whispering, "Oh my God, she has the same outfit on."
I mean,
same sweater.
Truth be told, people don't really care. We think they care.
No, I know
and
exactly.
We laugh about it, but it is
only
what it
the
is.
elite would really do that. Like you ever see that, like when on television shows or like on the red carpet when two women are wearing the same dress. It's like, oh, who wore it better?
best?
Yeah, who wore it best?
I think it's hilarious that you actually know that.
I don't know. What do you mean? Is it a thing?
Who wore it best? Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's a.
Like that's when they wear the same outfit?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I didn't know. I just made that up. Honestly,
yeah.
I did not know that that's a thing.
That's a regular
Interesting.
thing.
Well,
That's a regular thing. So
I'm a savant.
we talked about, let's just, to recap, get all
Yes.
your clothing in one spot so you can go through it. Get set up with your boxes or bags to donate or to sell or to basically just throw in the garbage because it's too far gone. Go through, pick out only the things that spark joy, things that really make you feel good.
Yep.
As far as storage, look at the KonMari method for folding. It really does work.
Mm-hmm.
And things that are tailored or lighter fabric, make sure you hang those items up.
Yep.
And then when you're going to buy new things and you're bringing new things into your home, really focus on what think about how much hard work you put into decluttering and downsizing your wardrobe, and only buy things that you feel absolutely awesome in.
That's exactly true, and it was a really good experience going through all that, and I encourage people who are like on the fence about like tidying up their home and stuff to at least just try it, because it's a really good experience. It unclogs your mind, to be honest. It really it did for me anyway. It's more like I can actually really breathe a little bit better knowing that there's less stuff in this house. Except for the records. And records actually has, it is what we're going to be talking about next podcast. So,
yes. So, I mean, we've really been, I guess, focusing a lot on decluttering and organizing. And
we like to mix it up.
A lot of the stuff that I like to do. So,
yeah.
What are we going to talk about next episode?
Well, we're going to be talking about record collecting 101. So, you imagine yourself wanting to start a record collection and not knowing kind of really where to go, or like, perhaps I might be able to help with a few tips and stuff. So we're going to go through that in the next episode and like, talk about things like, without giving too much away, but we're talking about like organizing your records and like how to buy and what to buy and
yeah,
cetera,
I mean,
cetera.
vinyl's becoming all the rage, and there's a lot of vinyl virgins out there who want to get started on record collecting.
Exactly.
So I think it'll be a good topic to cover.
That'll be
and
fun.
Who knows? Maybe I'll learn something.
Yeah, no question. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? Learning stuff and continuing on with life.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us for episode 4 and listening to us prattle on about clothing.
Yeah,
Hopefully
thanks
you
so
learned
much.
something.
Hopefully you got some laughs. Hopefully you learned something. And, until next time, we'll see you next on InfoQuench.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Thanks so much for listening.
And be sure to visit us at infoquench.com to subscribe and find out about future episodes.
You can also check out InfoQuench on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Till next time, friends.